Here we go. Hey, congratulations to the class of 2025. 13 years of education finished, and you are officially crossing the threshold into adulthood. Everyone in this room is really proud of you, and you all look so good today, I assume. I can't know for sure because I'm not there with you, and I am sorry about that. As you know, a couple of close friends of mine are getting married today, and I had already committed to being in the wedding. But I still really wanted to be the guest speaker for your graduation for a couple reasons. Firstly, you guys are my OG class from when I first came to Momart 6 years ago. As a matter of fact, you might have noticed that I'm actually filming this inside our grade 7 classroom. This is where I first met you, where we made our first memories together, and I'm a sucker for a good full circle moment. I've also had the rare experience of moving up with you through the grades. Grade 7, I was your homeroom teacher, and ever since then, I've taught you every year, teaching you one course or another, and I even got to be your homeroom teacher again in grade 10. For this reason, you have been a big part of what has made Momart School feel like home to me. Frankly, I'm a little sad that you're leaving, but I'm also really excited for you to step into this next phase of life and for you to experience all the wonderful things that you're gonna do. Now, the second reason I wanted to do the speech for you today is that I have a wild conspiracy theory that I was providentially destined to speak at your graduation. There's some really interesting connections on how certain timelines have lined up between you and me, which I will list as they come up throughout the rest of this speech. Now, as you know, I am mysteriously somewhere in my early to mid to late 20s or 30s. While my true age is amorphous and unknowable, what we do know is that you, like the iPhone, were born in 2007. 2007 was a pretty iconic year, and there's another interesting thing that happened that year. Now, you've probably guessed it. It is, of course, the year that Gossip Girl came out.
Hey, Upper East Siders, Gossip Girl here, and I have the biggest news ever.
Gossip Girl is a teen drama show which ran from 2007 to 2012 about a group of extremely rich high schoolers as they navigate the ups and downs of ultra-privileged life in New York. So why do I bring up Gossip Girl? The answer is because you brought it up first, when you chose this as your quote.
The thing about new beginnings is that they require something else to end.
I actually think this is a really great insight. Even though the growing up experiences of the characters from Gossip Girl probably don't overlap a whole lot with yours, this quote is a fact of life that everyone can relate to. And it perfectly defines the coming of age experience that you're going through right now. Now, you might remember that phrase coming of age from grade 10 when we learned about it through texts like The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian or Stand By Me. Growing up and transitioning from a child to an adult is kind of a bittersweet thing. And high school graduation is how our society commemorates a person's transition from child to adult. It is no small deal. But also, let's be real. Crossing the threshold into adulthood doesn't just happen when you cross that stage. It's been happening for a long time. Your high school years have been a period in your life full of formative moments where you've been figuring out who you are and what you're made of. Some of these have been moments of great achievement, amazing memories, great fun. But as is the case with growing up, there's also been some hard stuff, some heartache, disappointment, mistakes. All of these things, the good and the hard, have had important things to teach you and have helped make you the person that you are today. And maybe that's why shows like Gossip Girl catch on so well, because we as humans really resonate with stories of young people figuring themselves out. This was particularly true in 2007, the year you were born. At the time, the wider culture was completely obsessed with the teenage experience, as evidenced by the dozens of teen drama shows and movies coming out at the time. Aside from Gossip Girl, One Tree Hill, The O.C., Smallville, Gilmore Girls, Veronica Mars, That 70s Show, Zoe 101, Friday Night Lights, and Degrassi were all airing in 2007. Plus, this was also the year that Superbad, Charlie Bartlett, Juno, and High School Musical came out. This is just one year of media. The other years in the mid-2000s were exactly like this. I can't even think of a single show or movie like any of these that has come out recently. As such, the world that you were born into was completely dedicated to mythologizing and romanticizing the high school experience. By now, you're probably asking, Mr. Moen, how do you know all this? Because I was there. Not only that, but, and this is conspiracy connection number 1, your birth year is also my grad year. Now, you probably couldn't tell because of how much I've aged, but those were pictures of me. Now, given that I was literally living the high school experience when all these TV shows were on, I definitely have some opinions on their accuracy. Sometimes I go back and watch them and I'm just like, wow, it was exactly like that. The cafeteria politics, the Shakespearean will they, won't they vibes, high stakes championship games where your legacy is on the line, trying to hide your superpowers so the government doesn't find out about them. The whole school involving themselves in your business through spontaneous song and dance, unexpectedly being crowned prom royalty, rainstorms that show up exactly when you're feeling emotional, solving mysteries. All this was just part of regular high school life at the time. And every teenager had some combination of this stuff going on. It was exhausting. No wonder I always slept through first period. And all of us really were that good looking because our teenage lives were more special than any before or since. Then teenagers started watching TikToks and all that went away. I'm of course joking. It was never like that. Actually, even though there's been some new things added to the mix like social media, I would say that the high school experience is largely unchanged, at least as far as I can tell. You see, the truth in shows like Gossip Girl is not that they depict what being a teenager is actually like, but rather what it can sometimes feel like. This is pretty much what all good art does. The storylines are eccentric for sure, yet they still resonate because in some ways, they maybe help us to make sense of our own coming of age experiences, which are generally believed to begin at the age of 12. Coincidentally, that was the age when I first met you. Something shifts in a person at this age and they start becoming affected by the world in new ways, which necessitates them taking on a more aware and nuanced view of the world. One of your first coming of age experiences was a pretty big one. There is something unique about being 12 years old and watching the whole world change overnight and not knowing if it's ever going to be the same again. Kind of makes you grow up a little bit. This is something that people your exact age understand, as well as people my age. Because yours is the class that was in grade 7 when COVID happened, and mine is the class that was in grade 7 when 9/11 happened. These formative years where you've had to traverse the ups and downs of an uncertain world have had kind of a sanctity about them. Because fundamentally, high school is a place where you navigate growing pains, where your identity and worldview begins to take shape. And ultimately, you walk out the exit of adolescence and into the brave new world of adulthood. Now, as you're crossing that stage today, maybe you're feeling like, I can't get out of here fast enough. To you, I say cherish these last few weeks. Whenever I talk to former Walmart grads, especially the boys, they often talk about how much they miss high school. Hanging out with your friends as a full-time job is probably never gonna happen again. So, savor it while you can. Now, some of you might be more apprehensive about leaving and thinking, I'm not ready, oh my gosh, what I wouldn't do for one more year of high school. To you, I say, you are ready. All of you are. Your parents and all the teachers here, we've been making sure of it. You have gotten everything you're going to out of this time of life, and it is time to go into the next thing. Or as the great Victor Thal says,
the bell rang. You don't gotta go home, but you can't stay here.
Now, as you step into the next chapter of your life, and bearing in mind that I graduated the same year that you were born, which means I've been in the real world for the same amount of time that you've been alive, I would like to share some lessons with you that I've learned since my graduation. Because who knows, maybe in 2043, one of you will be giving the grad speech to the kids who are going to be born this year, and I will still be 10 years from retirement. Lesson number 1, don't be entitled. It is important to remember that the accident of your good fortune and privilege is not something that you did anything to earn. None of us chose the situations that we were born into. Your upbringing is afforded to you first and foremost by the sacrifices of your parents and your family, but also your teachers in your school, your community, people who fought and died for our freedom decades before you were even born. And even things like the signing of Treaty 4 have all played seen and unseen roles in the shaping of a reality that you benefit from. And now the burden to pay it forward and build a better world for future generations falls to you. This might seem like a big undertaking, which brings me to my second lesson. Don't sell yourself short. There's a lot of things that you think you aren't capable of right now that you're gonna find out you actually can do. For example, I have a reputation of being a pretty good writer, but I did not see that in myself when I was in high school. And I actually didn't hit my stride with writing until I was well into my 20s. So even though you're entering into adulthood now, you're not done developing. And there's still a lot of undiscovered parts of your identity that you can look forward to finding out about. You know, at the end of high school, I thought I wanted to be a graphic designer, and I became one. And I was successful, but despite being an introvert, working solo at a computer all day lacked a human element that I didn't know I needed. So I traveled, met people, volunteered, which led me to getting involved in summer camps and also leading a youth group. I took 5 gap years after high school, the last of which I spent working as an EA, which is how I found out that I wanted to be a teacher. So in the fall of 2012, I moved back to Saskatchewan and started a degree in middle years education, which, if my math is right, is the same year that you started kindergarten. Conspiracy connection number 3. See, I told you, I was destined to do this. No wedding's gonna get in my way. High school me would not believe that I became a teacher. Myself, my parents, and my teachers would have all lost money on that bet. Even though becoming a teacher isn't what I expected, I am glad that it turned out this way. And I know you are too. All that to say is sometimes you don't know what you don't know until you know it. Which brings me to lesson number 3. Hindsight is 20/20. When you're my age, you will probably look back on your high school years with wiser eyes and discover a more mature appreciation on some things that you don't yet have. Certainly I do. Take teachers, for example. I mean, yeah, Mr. Moan was pretty funny with his out-of-pocket one-liners, and let's not forget that Miss Blinken took us all on the dream vacation of a lifetime. We are never gonna forget that. But growing up means things like realizing that of all your high school teachers, it was probably Miss Para who gave you the most. Everything from the hallway pullouts to the patient corrections and explanations, and the persistence in upholding the no swearing, no phones, no hat policies, all of that was big time investment in you and a huge vote of confidence for the person that she believed you could become. The sheer consistency in that took a lot more energy than me taking you on 2 camping trips, I can tell you that. But I guess only time will tell. Cue up this video when you're my age and let me know, because I will still be 10 years from retirement. All that to say, sometimes the good parts of life are things that we don't appreciate until later. Which brings me to my 4th lesson. A serotonin life is better than a dopamine life. Dopamine is the reward or thrill chemical in the brain. It's short-term pleasure and the buzz that we get when we buy something new, win a game, eat junk food, binge watch something, opening a present, winning a bunch of cash, and even swiping to see the next TikTok. Serotonin, on the other hand, is the contentment chemical. It is long-term joy that you get from accomplishing something through hard work, spending quality time with close friends and family, helping others, working out, having deep, meaningful conversations, and even being bored. It comes generally from finding something other than yourself to live for, and the realization that happiness is pretty much just other people. That brings me to my 5th point: be kind. My favorite writer, C.S. Lewis, wrote a lot about the nature of good and evil, and he says that with every choice that we make, we are turning the central part of ourselves either into a more heavenly creature or a more hellish one. You might remember in grade 10 that one of the lessons that we pulled from our studies on residential school and the Holocaust and Lord of the Flies is that cruelty gets easier with practice. The good news is that this is also true for kindness. Good and evil increase at compound interest, and that's why even your small choices matter a lot. So be kind, because it doesn't just affect the world and the people around you, it literally changes you. And that brings me to my very last point. I'm not gonna go too far into this one, I just wanna say, don't sleep on forgiveness. Because whether you're giving it or receiving it, it might just be the most powerful thing you ever experience in your life. Well, that's everything I know. Oh wait, buy low, sell high, don't eat yellow snow, and most of the time you really can just ignore the check engine light. Okay, now that's everything I know. Oh, and one more thing, the time capsule. You might remember in grade 9 we made a time capsule. I just dug it up from the deep earth / never buried it, and your grade 9 selves wrote a letter to your graduating selves, making predictions on what might happen in high school. These letters are now taped to the underside of your chair on the stage.
As we go on, we remember all the times we spent together. As our lives change from whatever, we will still be friends forever.
All right, gang. I'm just gonna wind down by saying that I've really loved teaching you, getting to know you, and I'm gonna miss you a lot. And as you abandon me here, I ask only one thing of you. Peyton, Callie, Zoe, Michaela, Ellie, Danica, Tristan, Graydon, Brent, Connor, Sebastian, Isaac, Cameron, Julian. Every person in the room with you right now believes in you. So do all of us who have built into your lives the favor of relentlessly pursuing the unique potential that exists in each of you. And whatever influence you end up holding, wield it with humility and compassion. We have all placed our bets on you. There is no one like you, and you have something to offer that no one else can. So the world needs you to show up. Get out there and do it. And congratulations on graduating high school. Okay, so I talked a lot about TV shows in the speech, so please enjoy this 90s sitcom style intro I made from some of your old video projects. Enjoy the rest of your celebrations, please be safe, and one more time, congratulations to the class of 2025. Mr. Moen, out.
XOXO, Gossip Girl.
Everywhere you look, there's a heart, a hand to hold on to. Everywhere you look, there's a face heart.